imagining. Okay, here we go. um, uh, Welcome to Talking with Famous People. We're back, and we are here to talk about the same question again, but a different person. The question is, I can't get it off the screen if you don't stop typing, goddammit. I got it on full screen. No, I won't. I will not. You can stop typing if you don't want it on the screen. I literally can't stop it from popping up. I have no means of doing so without preventing you from using chat.
One word at a time. That's hilarious.
Okay, well, you do what you want. I don't care what you do, but I'm not going to change the way I'm recording this just so that you can chat in private or something when this is a public conversation. You want me to do something? You want me to stop this video and then restart with recording it totally differently so that I have it set up with not a monitor record but a window record. It's a big hassle. All right, let's continue. So, who's the next person? I picked the first one. I said the first one, I think. So you said the second one.
I'm picking Samuel Clemens.
Samuel Clemens, Mark Twain, you mean?
Yep. Yeah, I don't. I have to choose. I have to call him by his real name as opposed to his pen name.
Okay.
Just because I would really like to see. I would like to understand. Growing up in the South myself, but Missouri not really the South, but still at the time it was in his sense. The mentality that he had is I think so different than most of the people that were lived in the neighborhoods and where he grew up than he was in. So he was like a stranger in his own land of sorts, and I would think it would be very interesting to talk to just from that aspect. You know, he did all kinds of crazy stuff, going and taking the boat on the Amazon and being a Mississippi riverboat pilot and being in Nevada during the gold rush.
Type him. Type him.
Ooh, he was probably an extrovert, probably a sensor, probably a thinker. I think probably ESTJ, but I have no idea.
No, he is straight up ENTP. Mark Twain's a straight up ENTP. He's textbook. The way he'd like get rich and then poor and then rich and then poor, all that shit, that's textbook ENTP. And the need to go and do shit, and his big long sentences and his big words and his fucking verbosity, it's textbook ENTP. ESTP wouldn't write that well.
The thing that I always have difficulty typing people, telling the difference between intuitive and sensors is because if they like to do anything, I'm like, well, they must be in the physical world anyway. Oh, they must be intuitive because he likes to get out and do stuff and go places and see new things. So he can't be a sensor.
Well, yeah, the thing is, from an ENTP perspective, I like to go out and have new things to prompt associative chains, you know? Like when I go to the quilting museum, it's not because I want to see quilts. I don't really care. You know, I don't care about quilts. It's because I want to be in a situation where shit's going to happen around me. And I can use NE, extroverted intuition, to roll with it in some way, you know? That's different than an SE person who's going to want to go skydiving or rock climbing or some sort of adrenaline junkie kind of thrill thing.
So more from an observational point than a participation point? I mean, as far as whenever you're doing that, if you go out?
No, I mean, mine's participatory, but I want to mess with the ideas and the systems in place, right? So it's like when I want to go interact with some other person, and then I want to interact with them in ways that they're unfamiliar with, that catch them off guard in some fashion. So when I'm going and filming at the quilting museum, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm hoping I'm going to interact with somebody in some way. And so when the lady comes up to me and says, "You can't film here," it's on, right? And then all of a sudden it's an adventure. And the adventure has nothing to do with anything physical. It has to do with the fact that these people are telling me I can't film in the quilting museum because my YouTube videos are monetized. Right? So that's the adventure, right? Now I'm rolling. Now I'm in any heaven. Oh, you guys are
So you're
throwing
looking
rules
for
at
an
me?
opportunity to assist her.
Yeah, basically. But I mean,
Oh,
it
oh,
could have gone.
okay.
It could have gone some other way too. And in fact, it went the other way as well. Which is, after the first lady tried to bust my chops and shit, the second lady came over, and I realized the solution. I'm like, I'll just demonetize this video. How about that? And she was cool and she was nice. And then we made friends with each other. And then I interviewed her on camera and she talks about quilts, right? So I got
Mhm.
both the fight where I'm battling them over their ridiculous rule. And then I got the makeup and I got the little interview. So I got your N.E. and I got your F.E. and I used T.I. to do it.
Hmm.
I think Mark Twain's that kind of adventurer. I don't think he's the skydiving rock climbing adventurer.
Yeah, I'm trying to think back on it on specifics that I've read, like in biographies and letters and things. Yeah, and he went places, but not really in the moment of the things. And he was he was involved, in one of the first automatic typesetters of printing presses here in the United States. So that scientific side of me of him and being able to see future possibilities of things, I could definitely
But
forward to him.
did he do the inventing part, or is he like, oh, this is a really good idea, let's market the shit out of this, we're ready to go?
He was part of the development, and when they were doing the testing and stuff, they were of how to get it to offset. Whether he was there or just going, well, it should look like this.
But
I
he was
don't
an idea guy. He
recall.
wasn't a mechanics guy. I bet you.
Yeah, I don't think he actually turned wrenches. I think he had people around doing that, but one of those more overseeing kind of thing. I think that was when he was in during his time in Nevada working at some newspaper out there or something.
Well, he would be an interesting one, but he was not on my list at all. I would like to talk with him for sure. I guess I'd ask him. What would you ask him if you had questions to ask him?
Oh gosh, what the one like I said before? What it was? Did he feel like a fish out of water in his own hometown? And that and another is I'd like him to expound on in uh, Life and Times in the Mississippi. He was writing semi-autobiographical, autobiographically, semi is about his own experiences anyway of working on a steamboat and becoming a pilot and how to drive boats up and down the Mississippi River. Back in those days, no dams, no flood control, anything. It was just going with the flow of the river. And he was talking about in this one passage about how he realized after he learned to navigate in the light and the dark, up the river, down the river, high water, low water, and etc., how the beauty went out of the river, and it just became a thing instead of something he admired when he was younger. And I just like to talk. It'd be
So you
interesting to
mean
talk to him about that and see if
once
he
he
knew exactly when that happened.
once he figured out how to do it, he got bored with it. That's another ENTP thing, but I think that might be an INTP thing too, but probably a lot less
Yeah,
so.
I think a lot less so, but it is definitely true. Yeah, I didn't think about it in that context. I just thought about it more the visual. But yeah, I think that wow, that's a pretty enlightening thought right there. That's probably very true. That it was just I figured it out now. I'm good with it.
Yeah, well, ENTPs are famous for getting bored with shit. Um, I think if I were to ask him questions, I'd ask him about his prose. I'd say, a lot of your stuff in the 21st century reads dense. It's not actually funny anymore. Um, do you think that could have ever been? Do you think there's any possible way to avoid that, or is that just unavoidable passage of time thing? I'd ask him that question.
Mm,
I'd kind of point out, like, this is how some of your shit ages really well. The stuff that's more story oriented and less humor oriented, some of it ages really poorly. Like the jumping frog of Calabasas County. That story back in the day was apparently just uproariously hilarious. That people would read
I
that and just be like, "Oh my God, the frog! Oh, ha, ha, ha." But it's not funny at all if you read it now.
I think it's funny as shit when I read it.
How you like it? You still think it's funny?
Yeah, and this is why I think maybe that is. But I grew up in a rural, very very rural area. The town I grew up in was like less than 1,000 people, and I've
Okay.
met that guy. So maybe I think that particular story anyway may be a case of more about being a small town person and knowing that one person who's got some story to tell and just will not shut the hell up around every
Okay.
corner.
All right. Well, that's certainly possible. Maybe that's funny in rural America, and it's not so funny in suburban America.
Mm.
And that makes good sense. That's a good explanation. Anybody, Files guys or Lorenz, either of you guys have any comments to make regarding Samuel Clemens / Mark Twain? Any questions you'd like to ask him or thoughts on that? I'm trying to get to the bottom of the chat right now.
Autobiographically. Thank you. Some words just get in my mouth and will not come out. I've almost got dysplasia.
What's dysplasia?
It's when you can see you know the words in your mind and the word you want to get out of your mouth, but it just won't come out. You can't form the word. It's in your
Mm.
mouth, but you can't make the connection.
Hello, Abraham. All right, let's stop this video then, I guess. And it is greatly lacking. Well, Lorenz Walker, I hope your knowledge is increased with Alex's exposition on the life and times of Mark Twain. I enjoyed it. I learned a lot. And let's go to the next one. Do you leave? Why would you leave? I don't know if you want to leave. You don't have to leave. Do I leave or do I stay? Nobody knows.